See, this is how you know the mental health is like, we're having a little bit of an issue. We get like the random McDonald's stop for a soda on the way home, which is probably why my face is breaking out. But anyways, whatever. Mental health awareness, woo. Hello, and welcome to Embodying Mystical Mac. I'm Mac. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Today, we have a personal episode that I've been talking about in my last few videos, and if you've been here the last couple times, first of all, thank you. And if you're watching as opposed to listening on the podcast, you may have noticed that hats are just a thing lately, because when mental health is shaky, we do the least in the areas that the least is acceptable. Okay, so yeah, we've been doing the no makeup look, we've been doing the hat look. I don't have to explain this, but I do feel that just as it is deliberate when I, dress the part to allude to whatever piece of media I'm commenting on or whatever, it's just as intentional when I have not done anything of that sort. And when it comes to that intention, more often than not, it's because time constraints and or my mental health has just not been super great, which probably means I'm also not taking care of myself the best, which means that I might be breaking out or whatever, and I have reasons for not wanting to put on makeup, and maybe wanting to put on a hat because I feel like it makes my face pop out a little bit more. Anyway, for those of you out there that struggle, people struggle. It's okay. And as much as I always want to be like at the top of my game with my cute makeup on, with my little sigils on my face and shit, sometimes you do the least because the least is acceptable, and you need the energy to do the most where the least isn't acceptable, right? So, mental health awareness, whoop whoop. Today we have a personal episode. Maybe you can take some of this as some inspiration or guidance somehow. I don't know, honestly, but we're just going to talk about some very, very minor changes to the channel. Not even the channel as a whole, just the way my videos / episodes are going to be done a little bit. And I wanted to talk about it, one, because this whole thing, this whole Embodying Mystical Mac thing started with me just wanting an outlet for my personal growth journey. And now that it's become more than that, right, it not only is it a place where I can talk about the parts of my personal growth that I believe are pertinent, the parts that I feel inspired to talk about for whatever reason. Now it's actually become this thing that is monetized, albeit not super monetized just yet, but like monetized, which is brilliant. It's become this thing now that there's more analysis and there's more logic and there's a little bit more of strategy that is going to go into my channel, my platform, my business here. Talking about that is important to me because talking about my growth in general is important, and this is a huge part of my growth. This is a huge part of my life, and it's going to be an even bigger part. The bigger it gets, the bigger it grows, the more of my life is going to be dedicated to this thing. And so talking about it is really, really, really important to me. I'm also going to be going into just a little bit of what I've been going through internally, externally, and how I'm just really in this kind of limbo period, it feels like, where the horizons could genuinely look like something I could never have imagined in really positive ways, if I can only allow myself to fucking trust the process. Okay? So let's just get into it. If you've been here for a little bit, and if you haven't and you're this deep in, thank you. Hi. Hello. Appreciate you. I promise this will all make more sense the more of my content you consume. So glad you're here. But if you've been here for a little bit, there has been something that I've really, really, really been resistant about, kind of like going with the crowd with, as far as my content goes. I talk a lot about how the way that I create my content is is different from the way that a lot of people that I myself watch on YouTube create their content. Many creators will record, hours worth of footage and cut it down. Whereas for me, everything that you see on my channel has been recorded from start to finish. And that is the product that is being presented to you. Now, as of late, what myself and my content manager and what my content manager and I have discussed recently is that we can keep that, right, the way that my videos get recorded, but we can start to play around with editing a little bit, that in ways that will highlight my personality, that will highlight the content, but nothing that feels too doctored, too edited. There's a very important sense of flow that I want my videos and my episodes to have, especially too because part of my wanting to keep the thing from beginning to end with no cuts or whatever in between is because it also just sounds better when you're listening on the podcast. And the podcast is very important to me. And basically every YouTube video that does not require a visual medium, so reactions are the only ones right now that would not go up on the podcast platforms. All of the other ones, though, all the other content does. And while my podcast is something that right now is basically an audible copy of these YouTube videos, or even we could call the original, and then the YouTube videos are the televised, visually recorded versions, honestly, because the podcast episodes also go up right away. So if you want to follow the podcast for that reason, and then that way you could, come to YouTube to watch it later if you want. But then that way you have the listening medium right there. So I was really, really, really resistant to add this element of editing in between my pauses, maybe taking out some ums or uhs here and there. Basically, just edit at all. I was very, 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 very hesitant. And I also feel when I finally came to this realization that I was like, oh, maybe we should start editing a little bit. I realized, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, that I had it in my head somehow that I would have to now function like the creators that I watch. And, instead of doing my thing where I just record from beginning to end and that's my thing. And part of it, one, it's comfortable for me, but two, it's like the most low maintenance way for me to do this. And for me, when it comes to creating, low maintenance is really important for the things that I'm going to create consistently. And so, growing this platform takes consistency. And one of the first ways that I realized that I could do this in a way that's sustainable for me is to make it kind of like a little speech, a little talk, right? Just have the thing from beginning to end, and have it have a beginning, middle, and end, without me having to do a whole lot of editing, if any, at all. And I realized I didn't have to change my way of creating my content. I would just have to be okay with the content being shaved down time-wise. And considering the fact that I can get pretty long-winded, we're fine with that. Like, we're fine with that. All good. And so you might notice that there's a little bit of editing, something that I said I would never do. And I realized that it's not that I didn't want to do it because I'm against editing. Like, obviously, most, if not all of the creators I watch edit their videos, and they edit out a lot more content than I'm editing out, to have the same effect, essentially. So, nothing against editing. It was just, I had something in my head that was telling me I would have to change my process that is very, very, very functional for me. And the idea of changing that was just like, no. And then I realized I did not have to change it in order to get this outcome of playing around with editing. So yeah, that's like a little bit of an evolution. It may not seem like a big change at all, but it really does feel like a big change. It was something that I was mulling over for a while. And I don't know what is going on. I get a lot of I get quite a few views with the shorts that we put out, but the longer form videos, even though we're still getting like consistent watch time and things like that, they are just not getting as many views, and the retention rate wasn't as ideal as we wanted. And I just kind of realized, like, whoa, why am I like holding myself back? And that kind of goes into this next little bit that I wanted to talk about, which is this idea of surrendering to change, surrendering to your forward motion, to your forward flow, to your momentum. I'm in this really interesting place right now. If you've been here, you'll know this, especially if you've been here through the personal episodes. I've been going through like a crazy job year. Like, honestly, 2022 is still just such an insane year job-wise for me. Like, I don't even know how to even talk about it. It's just been one of those things where making sure my microphone is connected because I keep hitting it. It's just been one of those things where basically I've had a job, and then due to circumstances that are out of my control, I haven't had a job. And then rinse and repeat. Until early November, when I found a job. I got a job with a really lovely family. I'm taking care of she's 7 months now. She was 6 months when I started, but a 7-month-old baby. Basically just until she's ready to go to daycare. So just until about May, June-ish. Just until she's like 1 or so, essentially. Before I got this job, I was oh yeah, okay, hold on. You know what, never mind. Before I got this job, I was, and I still am, I'm just not as vigorously right at this moment in time, but I was basically applying to administrative assistant, personal assisting, those kinds of jobs through like LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, those kinds of places. that is still what I plan to apply to when I go back to applying, which my therapist and I decided the new year would be a good time to go back to all that. I've got a couple more resume revisions to make, and I do plan to go back to that. But there's been, oh man, this is where we get real personal, I might cry. Okay. I've been really up and down. Like, if you're familiar with human design, like, the emotional waves have been real regarding this full-time job that I'm applying to in the personal assisting, administrative assisting realm. And I'm applying to remote and hybrid because I already know that the full-time thing is really challenging for me. Like, not even gonna be. I know that it is. I've done full-time. It's very challenging for me. I'm very much counting on something completely remote to help with that, because I already know the degree of challenging that it is for me to work full-time. And I can already feel it too. Like, honestly, if you don't understand what I'm saying and you're one of those people that can work full-time and still have all the energy in the world to live your life and be your best self, a huge part of me envies you. And I'm so grateful that that is your existence and that is your reality. That is not the same for me. And if you can't relate to that and you have nothing nice to say about it, see yourself out of this video, or I will block you. I just needed to say that because these personal episodes are all about my journey. They're just what I'm going through, and hopefully some people can relate and do something for themselves with this information. But I was kind of getting this like psychic tingly that I get sometimes when I'm recording videos in real time, when I feel the need to like disclaim something or over explain something, or even just explain it, period. A lot of the time it's because I get this kind of like foresight of like, oh, this might come across in the way that people might feel it's their right to basically tell me like why my philosophy is shit because it doesn't work for them. So yeah, let's just be polite. Let's be kind. Okay? If we can't be kind, you can be blocked from this channel. All good. Cool? If you can be kind, you can stay. We can have awesome talks and discussions. I have found that it is incredibly difficult for me to work full time. And while I've realized, you know, that the part-time work that I've done, while it keeps me at a certain place, I do live in LA, which is not a cheap place to live. I don't live with anybody, so like I don't have a roommate. I don't live with my boyfriend, and so, you know, like, it's not a cheap place. And while the part-time work that I've been doing affords me more time, it has not afforded me the kind of financial stability that I really feel that I need. And I really struggle with that. I know a lot of people struggle with that. I know people that are more busy than me, have more responsibilities than me, definitely fucking struggle with that. People that have children or like take care of, you know, their grandparents or parents or whatever. See, this is how you know the mental health is like, we're having a little bit of an issue. We get like the random McDonald's stop for a soda on the way home, which is probably why my face is breaking out. But anyways, whatever. Mental health awareness, woo. I know a lot of people struggle with this idea of like having a full-time job and then, you know, also needing to exercise and eat well and take care of their mental health and all this stuff. Like, they do not call it the, you know, the Matrix, the rat race, like whatever, for like, they don't call that for no fucking reason. Like, or they don't call it that for no fucking reason. It does feel that way. And while I've really thought about my decision, like while I've really thought about why I want to apply to these positions, why I would want a position like that, I mean, I have my reasons. Like, I really do. And it kind of feels like the kind of financial stability and freedom that that would really just set things into a different level for me. It feels like that is the closest, most attainable way for me to get it at this point in time. Now, with that said, I am going into this whole full-time job thing. And it's not even like full-time job, like just full-time hours. It's like full-time job as in like a real world job. Not that being a server isn't a real world job. That can get pretty fucking real, all right? Especially when you're waiting on people who have never, ever, 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 ever worked a service job in their life, or even a customer service job in their life. Anyway, this is not the video for it. And it's not like taking care of children isn't a real world job. It 100% is. And honestly, I feel like it should be way more fucking respected than it actually is. But that is, again, another episode, another video. No, I mean like a personal assisting job or an administrative assisting job. It would be one of those like, you know, Google Workspace and Microsoft Word is part of my everyday life kind of jobs. And there's so many sounds going on right now. I'm so distracted. Oh, that was a siren. My neighbor's next door. The kid is crying. Okay. Now it's just hope we can catch the train of thought, all right? Remember that scene in Inside Out, anyone? The train of thought with Bing Bong. Anyway, okay. It's not that the jobs that I've done before are not real world jobs. They obviously are. But something like personal assisting, administrative assisting, there is a bigger sense of commitment there. First of all, like, you know, when you get hired as a server, like, or you're a nanny, especially being a nanny for like younger children, like babies and younger children, it's like at one point those kids are probably going to go to daycare or school, and you're either going to have to shift around your schedule according to that family's schedule and needs if they still need care, or you're going to have to find a different family. And so same with serving, in the sense that, like, sure, you could totally stay with the same place forever for as long as you need to and whatnot. There's not this like sense of permanence usually, right? Whereas like when you get signed on or when you get hired as an administrative assistant, a personal assistant, there's an expectation that there's a commitment there, right? Maybe not for like a significant amount of time, but at least for like the next year to a few years, right? And part of my reasoning for going for something like this is that it would be temporary. Now, I'm not setting a specific amount of time on it, as much as I'm willing to do that job, whatever the job it is that is going to, whatever situation that's going to allow me that financial freedom and stability that I've like really, really, really have been feeling is the key for me, I'm willing to do that for as long as it takes for my content to sustain me. And if you didn't know, I used to pursue acting. Like, I used to pursue the entertainment industry, and I had never gone for any sort of full-time work before because the entertainment industry, you can't really do that. Like, gig work is preferred because it's easier to get your shifts switched. It's easier to be more flexible, right? Should you have an audition or a callback or this or that, which are always happening last minute. And honestly, I should have known just how much the entertainment industry, like pursuing it that way, just was not the thing for me by the sheer anxiety and just panic at the thought of I'm literally gonna get all of my opportunities like super last minute, and I'm gonna have to show up within like a couple days notice or whatever, which is really rough if, say, you know, you live in the Bay Area and you want to have an LA agent or something, and you don't have the resources to fly up when needed or fly down when needed or whatever. And so this idea of like pursuing like a real world full-time job thing, it's not like, oh, I never thought of it. It's that it never felt like it was an available thing to me, while also having what I thought was my dream be a viable option as well. And now that it is available to me, I find myself like when I'm having a really good time in life and sort of like feeling really good, I'll be excited about the prospect. I'll be excited about the opportunity. And then, you know, I'll go and I'll look at my resume and to me, just I have my judgments about it, and I get down on myself, you know, the kind of like, why would I stand out? And I don't even know what LinkedIn is telling me, like 368 applicants. Like, why the fuck would I stand out? You know, and I get into my head about it, and then I start to get really nervous and get really anxious again and be like, am I gonna be a shell of a person? Am I even gonna be able to get this fucking job? That, you know, like, it's been a trip, and I don't claim to have any answers either. Like, spoiler alert, no solutions right now. This is a really big period of just trust the process for me. I have what appears to be a long time to apply and to search and to find something that fits, that is a fit job-wise. And I've even thought about, like, maybe after this family, I just, you know, like, pursue full-time work, like, as a nanny. And I'm about to do full-time for this family recently, which is actually when we get to the tarot reading. I'm not going to be doing tarot readings for all of January and the beginning of February because I only do them on Fridays. But basically, all of January and through the first week of February, I'm going to be working full-time for this family that I work for because grandparents return normally home and help out are not going to be home. They're going to be out of town. So I'm going to see actually if that is a viable option for me, or if I'm just going to be even more exhausted than if I were to do a job that is, you know, Excel and emails and all of that stuff, as opposed to being attuned and at the beck and call of the needs of a living, breathing, not as capable human. And I already have this feeling that is not what I really want to do. It just would be me taking the easy way out, because I definitely could get a full-time position as a nanny. It's a little harder to find because most people are looking for part-time, especially with the age range that I love to work with. But I could do it. Like I could totally find it. But again, I'm gonna mention the fact that you've got, this thing where like I would have my schedule would have to shift with that family if I wanted to stay with them really long term. And while this family that I'm working with is great, they're actually doing everything by the book, which is amazing because in California, I can't be a 1099 employee if I'm a nanny. I have to be a W-2 employee. I did not know this. Apparently that is a thing. And for the most part, like a lot of people just do it under the table, which is cool, I guess. However, that's cool when I have like a W-2 situation or like a solid 1099 situation, which at this point in time would not be the case. So basically, if I were to be doing under the table with them, it would just look like I haven't worked for as long as I'm with them, which is not ideal. Like, we want taxes represented, right? Like, my credit is really good, but my credit lines are still really young and stuff like that. So like, and you want to have like reportable income, all that junk. And so they're really amazing, and I genuinely don't know if I'm gonna find people that are as amazing as they are, and I'm really done like taking that shot in the dark a little bit. So I really do feel that the continuing to apply to more traditional full-time employment is gonna be the thing for me right now. As nervous as I am about it, as discouraged as I get at times, I'm really just surrendering right now. I'm not forcing myself. Like I've had these resume revisions literally sitting for like this whole month, and I'm not forcing myself to get to them until the timing feels a little bit, just at least when I'm in a place of like not doing it from anxiety, not doing it from this place of feeling like, oh, well, it just needs to get done, like resignation. No, I want to do it from this place of like, okay, cool, like let's put these final pieces in, and then I can feel really good applying with these resumes. And as much as I know that the time is such an elusive thing, and it'll go by faster than we ever think it does, right? Like, regardless of whether it goes by slow or fast, it always goes by faster than we think it will. At this place where I stand right now, like, I know that I am exactly where I need to be. As nerve-wracking as it is, because I am one of those people that really, like, not knowing what my job will be after my birthday this next year is scary. It's really scary for me, especially because I am at this place in my life where I'm like, I just want something. I'm ready for something secure. I'm ready for something reliable. Something at least fulfilling to a degree. And I'm ready to feel taken care of financially. I know that I can help myself feel taken care of financially because I've gotten so much better at managing my money. I'm so confident in myself when it comes to my money now compared to where I was like even like 6 months, a year ago. And I'm just ready for that financial stability thing to really ground into my existence. because I know that I've been building it in the spiritual. I know that I've been building it in like the manifestation realm. And I'm just ready for it to sink into the physical. And I know that in order for that to happen in the best way possible, because I can totally force something to happen in the okayest way possible, but for it to happen in the best way possible, I need to just trust. I need to just lean into my intuition, into what I know is my internal guidance. That means taking it easy for my content, but still creating it, right? Not making myself put on makeup and whatever, and maybe even not doing certain videos and things that I would want to do makeup and things for while I'm kind of going through what I'm going through. Like, it's allowing myself to skip yoga, you know, if it's really something that will be helpful for me, but then really having the discipline to not skip it every other time. Building that. It's allowing myself to play my video games for an obscene amount of time because it allows my inner child to relax and for my body to sort of reset and heal. Even though to some people that looks like I'm wasting my time. Like, this surrendering and trusting the process thing is going to look different for everybody. What looks like something that would be helpful for me, it's not going to be what is going to be helpful for everybody else. But one thing that I know for certain that I can say probably, like, that can go across everyone, it's that your body is the key. I'm sorry, my neighbors are so loud and I'm getting so distracted. Your body is the key, okay? If you listen to your body, it'll tell you what you need. No, I'm not literally saying a little voice in your head, although if that's how it manifests, awesome. But it's things like, for personal examples, when I'm getting really, really, really irritated for what feels like absolutely no reason, right? I realize that maybe I have a little bit of pent-up energy that it would be helpful for me to either breathe through or maybe move through, or even like if I'm getting irritable when I'm around people, and not even people, my partner, and if I'm getting really irritable and say it's been like, you know, the third day in a row that we've seen each other nonstop, that is my cue. That's my body being like, hey, you need some alone time. Just like me getting irritable out of nowhere for no reason is my body being like, hey, you might want to move around to get that energy out a little bit. You might want to take some deep breaths, sit down to meditate, to bring that energy inward, see what it is that your body's trying to tell you further. More often than not, if you are not used to listening to your body, it's going to take practice. It's going to take mindfulness. It's going to take a little bit of work, a little bit of effort. But the more you do it, the more effortless it becomes. Now, I'm really good at being able to tell if I really do need to skip yoga in order to allow for other things to get done, or maybe to allow for my body to properly rest, or if it's me trying to bail out on something that I know ultimately I will be better for if I do it. before, it was really hard to tell. Before, it was like, well, maybe I'm just like trying to get out of this thing that I know is good for me. And maybe it's my body actually being like, no, like, it would be helpful. But it's kind of a fine line in between those for me personally. And the more I started to listen to, this is a tangent, but anyways, we're almost done. Well, the more I started to listen to my body that way, the more I started to realize, like, oh shit. If I just heed what the F my body is telling me, more often than not, I expend less energy and I end up where I need to be the first time. So, for example, I've had a really big journey with procrastination when it comes to creating content. And a lot of the time when that procrastination was like at its height, at its peak, a lot of the time it would be me having the perfect pocket of time, my makeup's on, all those things, we're all ready to do a video. And then instead of like following that intuition, following my body's inclination to do the thing, I would put it off. And then the moment would be gone, and then I would judge myself really hard because I let the moment pass. And then in judging myself really hard, I would waste a lot of energy that would then lead me to procrastinate even longer. So as I started to catch on to my body's cues a little bit more, I started to realize that me judging myself so harshly was contributing to that second round of procrastination way more than it was cutting down the length of that second round of procrastination. And ultimately, what I decided was like, okay, from that moment that I realized, I was like, okay, no more. If we don't get it, if we miss the window, we go, oh well, we missed the window. When can we create another window? No judgments, no shitty feelings about it. I mean, if I had them, sure, accept them, feel them, but no harping on shitty feelings about the procrastination. Just when can I create another window? And let's do our best to make that one. If we don't make that one, rinse and repeat. What started to happen is I just stopped missing windows. Because when I just followed my body's inclination in accordance to what I'd scheduled, because that's another thing too. We have lives, right? We can't all just like live at the whim of our bodies. Like, that is the goal. That's where I'm going. Huge part of building this content is to make that more possible, to have more of a free-flowing, less scheduled by the world life. But as of right now, right, like, it's not like, oh, just follow your body, do whatever it tells you at that moment. It's like, no, like, I still have to go to work, I still have to do all the things, but I could give myself a range of time. I would give myself a few days to be like, okay, within these few days, whether it's on the first, second, or third day, we record the things. And if I would miss that 3-day window, like I said, I just stopped judging myself. And if I did judge myself, I would really critically, ask that part of myself, like, what are we judging? Why are we judging? Is it helpful to judge? Are you trying to be helpful? And eventually I realized, like, oh, that part of me was trying to be helpful, and then realized it wasn't helpful by judging. So instead, we just cheer ourselves on now for the next window, okay? And that's kind of, that's just like a little bit of a little story time about this sort of shift that I had when I started to listen to my body, right? Like, my energy and inclination and inspiration to do the video coordinating with the period of time that I gave myself to record that episodes. And over time, I just stopped procrastinating. And now, it's not so much like if I'm gonna record a video this week, it's when am I gonna record this week? And what is it gonna be? And sometimes I have a plan, and most of the time, that plan gets completely changed. And I've realized that that is okay with me, because the best way for me to follow my body and the things that it's telling me is to give it those markers that are, my 3-day window, the potential topic that we're going to be talking about. And then as we get closer, reserve the complete right for all of that to change except for the window. And if the window of time has to change, okay, sure. But for the most part, the window of time is the most concrete thing, whereas the subject and things tend to be the things that get switched around, or vice versa. Sometimes I know for a fact that there's a specific video I need to make, episode I need to make, and it's the window of time that's shifting. But regardless, I leave room for one of those two things to shift. And that allows me to follow the flow and the whims of my body a little bit better. And that's how I've been going about shit, right? That's how I've been going about life. Yeah, that's all I've got for you as far as the whole of the episode. I am going to do still the tarot cards at the end of these videos this month. And I say this month like it's already January. In January, but I just won't be doing any tarot readings because I will be working full time. And I don't know if you know, but doing tarot readings takes a lot of energy, especially to the degree that I do them. I literally can talk for way too long, which is why I offer 3-card readings, so I don't talk for way too long. I talk for just long enough. Today we're going to be using the Witch's Tarot. It was a lovely gift from my dude for our anniversary, and it just fits because this really feels like this whole embodying mystical Mac, this is the closest to embodied I've ever felt, is all I'm going to say. All right, I think this is our card. Okay, so we've got the 9 of Cups. Okay, we love the 9 of Cups. First of all, cups, when we're thinking about cups, we're thinking about relationships, we're thinking about the element of water, we're thinking about emotions, okay? Cups is a suit that encompass all of that. And the 9 of Cups in particular is a really fruitful card. I mean, honestly, no pun intended at all, because I'm going to show you this right now. There's a lot of fruit on this card. But when I say fruitful, I just mean it's a card that represents a sort of emotional abundance, okay? It represents this kind of like wellspring, whether it's a ferocious wellspring of emotion, whether it's slower and steady, it's a wellspring nonetheless. And by virtue of being the 9th card, in the suit of cups, you have it in this climactic position, meaning that in the journey that we witness from the number 0 to the number 10, 9 is right where the peak happens, right where all the excitement happens for you to come down to this resolution of the number 10. And so what that tells me is whatever we're going through right now, it's coming to a head, and it's chances are you've already witnessed the climactic point, and now it's just kind of about seeing yourself down to the resolution. Now, because we're dealing with cups, this has to do with relationships and emotions. Very convenient time for this card to come out, considering that it is holiday times, and I mean, Christmas just happened, Hanukkah happened, first day of Kwanzaa was yesterday, so it's holiday time, right? We've got New Year's coming up, and then you're gonna have like your religious, your Christian holidays and things like that. And so a lot of us might be around family, or just dealing with family a lot. And so there may be a lot of emotions running about. There may be a lot of relationships to balance. And it's really important that you're seeing those things accurately. Okay? It's really easy, especially for those of us that maybe developed as more of people pleasers, or who were enmeshed or parentified as children. It's really, 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 really easy to like slip into old patterns of not having boundaries or self-care mechanisms when it comes to relationships that challenge you. And it's really, really, really important to be mindful of that, okay? You do not have to be unkind when stating boundaries, when having boundaries with family members, or just people in general that challenge you. And it's really, really, really important even that when we are communicating those boundaries, we communicate them with heart and we communicate them with clarity. Okay, like first of all, this lady here, she's pouring wine into one of the cups, and she's got like her eyebrow is up. She just really looks like she's evaluating the amount very properly. And this is essentially what this card is calling us to do here. It's just be critical, not critical in like a negative sense, but like critical as in be very mindful of how much you are outpouring from your cup to whom. Right? Are you refilling your cup? Are you representing yourself with heart, but also clarity? Because just because you're kind and you have a loving way of saying things or of communicating things, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be clear or that you can't be clear. There can be kindness in bluntness. Is it hard to achieve? Sure. Yes. Will there still be situations and people that do not take it like that? That in the bluntness, they just will assume unkindness? Sure. But that says more about those people and how they handle direct communication than it does about the person who's being kind and blunt. Okay? So, yeah. Be discerning, be mindful. While this can be a very challenging time, it's also a really fruitful time. There's nothing like getting around the people that freaking raised you to show you how far along on your personal growth journey you really are. So take that opportunity, okay? And for some reason, if you're near water, go soak that in. Maybe not literally, might be really cold, but if it's not, go dive in it. It could be really healing. Maybe do so with this intention of welcoming in this energy of water. I think we talked about this last time. Emotions are much easier to deal with when we flow with them. And in a world where we've been taught to basically suppress the emotions that society deems not okay or that we ourselves just don't like, it can be really difficult to be flexible in the feelings that we hate feeling. So either praying to the water, diving and submerging yourself in the water, calling in the water if you just want to do a meditation to help you embody a flexibility and a flow when it comes to your emotions. Mama Ocean tends to answer. So anyhow, thank you. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you being here. For those of you that were intrigued by this, I will be doing tarot readings again come mid-February. So keep up with my channel to find all that good stuff out. This is the Witch's Tarot. If you're interested in it, I really appreciate it. And if you made it this far, please like, please subscribe, and please click that bell button because I do post regularly, but I don't post on a schedule. So the bell is going to let you know whenever I post a video. And if you want to go ahead and follow the podcast, you will have the listening version of these available to you at midnight when they come out, and as well as the ones that I've had from the past, including plenty of episodes that are actually podcast exclusive because they are older. So have fun diving down that rabbit hole if you so choose. And my social media and ways to support the channel are also down there. Thank you. I really, really, really appreciate you. Stay mystical, stay grounded, like, subscribe, click the bell. Thank you for helping my channel grow. Thank you for helping my dreams come true. And let me know how this impacted you. Did anything that I say ring a bell with you? How does your energy flow? Do you work a full-time job? How does it affect you? I'm really curious. These are all such interesting things to think about, especially in the world that we're in that seems to be shifting more rapidly than ever before. So yeah, let me know. Stay mystical, stay grounded, and I'll catch you next time. I feel like this Animal Crossing hat is just a permanent fixture lately. I'm fine with it. Okay, bye.